The smell hits you first. Bleach and old water. You're 9 years old, on your knees in a bathroom stall, scrubbing a toilet that isn't yours, in a school that is nothing like what your family was promised. Your uncle was told this was a prestigious boarding school in the hills of Kentucky. It isn't. It's a reform school, a place for troubled kids, and somehow you've ended up here, a small boy from Taiwan who barely speaks English. Every morning, chores. Every day, the older boys calling you names you don't fully understand yet. One of them carries a knife and likes to make sure you see it. You finish the toilet, you stand up, and you don't cry. Your name is Jensen Huang, and 50 years from now, the company you build will be worth more than Apple, more than any company on the face of the earth. But you don't know that yet. Right now, you're just a kid with a mop. What carries you from this bathroom to the top of the world isn't luck, and it isn't genius. It's 4 bets, 4 decisions most people never have the stomach to make, and every one of them is a lesson any entrepreneur can use. Here's the first. Before any of this, before the plane, before Kentucky, your mother did something strange. Every single day, she made you learn 10 English words. She'd open a dictionary, point at words she couldn't pronounce herself, and ask you to spell them, define them. She was drilling you for a country she had never seen and would not be following you to. She was betting on a future she'd never get to watch. So when they leave you at that reform school, you already know how to do one thing. The unglamorous work every day without applause. You scrub the toilets. Your brother works the tobacco farm. And instead of breaking, you find a boy in your dorm who can't read, and you teach him. Night, after the chores are done, the two of you sit with a book between you, sounding out words in the dark. You're 9 years old, and you've already learned the thing most people spend a lifetime avoiding. The only way out of a hard place is straight through it. At 15, you get your first real job, the graveyard shift at a Denny's. You bus tables, wash dishes, carry plates through the dead hours of the night, and you decide, quietly, to be the hardest worker in the building, not for a promotion, just because that is who you are going to be. Remember the Denny's. It comes back. The lesson is simple, and almost nobody lives it. No work is beneath you. The people who make it usually started by doing what everyone else felt too important to do. You climb. Oregon State, because it's the cheapest tuition you can find. Electrical engineering, highest honors. You meet a girl named Lori in a lab. By day, you design chips in Silicon Valley. By night, you take classes at Stanford until you've earned a master's degree. And then, in 1993, 30 years old, you walk into a Denny's booth in San Jose, the same chain where you once carried plates at 2 in the morning, and you start a company. The bet is almost embarrassing to say out loud. You believe that one day computers won't just calculate, they'll need to see, to build entire 3-dimensional worlds in real time. Almost no one thinks this matters. You name the company Nvidia anyway. This is the second bet, and it's the one most people are too sensible to make. You bet on a future that doesn't exist yet. You start building for a world that isn't here before anyone agrees it's coming. It almost ends before it begins. Your first chip fails. The money drains down to nothing. You are weeks from closing the doors, and out of that fear comes a sentence you will repeat for the next 30 years. Our company is always 30 days from going out of business. You bet everything that's left on one last redesign, but here's the trap. You can't afford to be wrong even once. One more failed chip, one more bad revision, and there's no money left to try again. So you do something reckless. You skip the safety net entirely. You build the whole thing in simulation, trusting the math in your own head, and you order the real physical chips before you have ever held a single working one. It's called the Rive 128, and it works. Barely. It keeps the lights on. 2 years later, you invent something the world doesn't even have a word for yet, and you give it one: the GPU. You take the company public. But here's what the fairy tale version leaves out: the fear never leaves you. Decades later, running the most important company on Earth, you will still wake up feeling 30 days from death. That paranoia isn't a weakness, it's the third bet. You stay scared enough to survive, long enough to get good. Now comes the hardest one. In 2006, you make a decision Wall Street despises. You start pouring billions into making your chips do something they were never built for: general computing, for problems that don't even exist yet. You call it CUDA. And it costs you immediately. The price of your chips roughly doubles. Revenue doesn't move. Your company's value collapses from around $12 billion to 2 or 3. For years, you simply look wrong. Quarter after quarter, you stand in front of investors and defend a bet you cannot yet prove. An activist fund circles, demanding you kill the project. Good engineers walk out the door. The trade press writes your obituary more than once. And still, every single year, you ship another version of the thing nobody asked for, because somewhere underneath the math, you can feel the whole world quietly bending toward it. This is the loneliest stretch of the entire story: conviction in public, while you look like a fool. And then it detonates. In 2012, 3 researchers enter a contest to see whose software can recognize images, cats, cars, faces, most accurately. They don't just win, they win by a margin no one has ever seen. And they did it by training their program on a pair of your gaming chips. The future you bet on a full decade early finally has a name. It's artificial intelligence, and you have accidentally built the only engine on Earth that can power it. 10 years after that, the whole world catches fire with it. And every company on the planet suddenly needs the exact thing you spent a decade being laughed at for building. That's the fourth bet, the one that separates the legends from everyone else. The willingness to be publicly, painfully wrong for years, because you can see something the crowd can't see yet. Nvidia crosses $1 trillion, then 2, then more than 3. One of the most valuable companies in the history of the world. You're still wearing the same black leather jacket. You're still the CEO, the way you've been since that booth in San Jose, more than 30 years ago. Somewhere, your mother. The woman who once pointed at words in a dictionary she couldn't read herself could never have imagined the words you'd end up writing into the world. And the boy on his knees in that Kentucky bathroom, scrubbing a toilet that wasn't his, he's standing on top of the planet now. The toilet never changed. The graveyard shift never changed. What changed is what you were willing to do while everyone else waited for something easier. That was always the secret. It was never the genius. It was 4 bets, and the stomach to make them while no one was clapping.